while we're waiting for Chairperson Rainey, I think we'll go ahead and start. We have a quorum present. If we could call the roll. Alderman Simmons?
Here.
Alderman Fleming?
Here.
Alderman Sufferton? Here? That's a quorum. Let's do this. All right. So we will just go through the approval of minutes of the regular meeting of January 22nd, 2018. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Done deal. Ayes have that. Then we will move on to items for consideration. Alderman Fleming, would you do the A1 and A2.1, please?
Sure. I move approval for payroll dated January 8th, 2018 through January 21st, 2018 in the amount of $3,193,912.48. I also move approval for fiscal year 2017 bills list, which is dated February 13, 2018, in the amount of $3,359,819.15, as well as fiscal year 18 bills list dated February 13, 2018, in the amount of $973,670.58.
Second.
Oh, should I do, I'm sorry, do you want to do credit cards as well, Tom?
Please.
Sorry, credit card activity not including our Amazon purchases for period ending December 31st, 2017. Bank of America card in the amount of $159,115.23, and BMO card, which is in the beta testing for new purchasing, $2,394.26. This is for action.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right. So ayes have that one. Alderman Simmons, will you please do item A2.2?
Yes, and this is for action, Amazon credit card activity, period ending December 31st, 2017, in the amount of $10,571.30.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I abstain. All right. Moving along. Item A3.1, fuel purchases for 6 months from Gas Depot Oil Company. This is in the amount of $450,000 from Gas Depot Oil Company of Morton Grove, and this is for action.
Move approval.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Alderman Fleming, would you do item A3.2, please?
Yes, I move approval of 2018 new tire purchases from Wentworth Tire Services. Staff is recommending council approve the tire purchase of 12 months for the fiscal year 2018 in the amount of $75,000 from Wentworth Tire in Bensonville. This is coming from our Fleet Services Tires and Lubes account, which has a budget of $100,000.
Second. I'm sorry. Move approval.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have that. Item A3.4 is a one-year contract renewal for testing.
3.3.
3.3.
Oh, 3.3, let's do that one. All right, so A3.3 is a one-year renewal for tire repair services with Wentworth Tire Service. Staff recommends City Council approval for the city manager to authorize a one-year renewal for tire repair and recap services in the amount of $24,672 with Wentworth Tire Service. Final renewal of the contract from January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018. Funding is from Fleet Services. This is for action. Any questions?
Move approval.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes have that one. Alderman Ruth Simmons, you do A3.4, please.
Yes, thank you. 1-year contract renewal for testing, repair, and certification of fire apparatus and aerial devices. Staff recommends City Council approval of a 1-year contract extension to Global Emergency Products in the amount of $72,300 to provide the required annual inspections and repairs for heavy fire apparatus vehicles assigned to Evanston Fire Department. There is no cost increase from the last renewal. Funding will be from account as stated, with fiscal year budget of $1,050,000, and this is for action.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. We're going to skip item A 3.5. And then move along to item A 3.6, which is a contract with Corello Engineers Incorporated for the West Plant Filter Study. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the West Filter Plant Study with Corello Engineering Company in the amount of $126,033. Funding for the study will be from the Water Fund, and this project was budgeted at $150,000 in fiscal year 2018. Is there anybody from staff who could just kind of run down what we're doing here? Thank you, Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura Biggs, city engineer.
So you just kind of give a summary of what we're doing with the study and why it's necessary.
Absolutely. Over time, we've gone through and just done our regular upgrades that we do to the water treatment plant, and we finished a number of projects just to keep the plant in good operation. But this West Plant filter area, we actually have not been investing a lot of money in doing upgrades in, because as we were looking at new wholesale customers, it was these are the oldest filters, and there was some concern we may need to demolish them to provide extra capacity or various things. We have since really tightened up exactly what our new wholesale customers are going to be and what the final plant capacity is. And now, because of the age of the building and the age of the filters, we would like to do a study to determine the best way to go about doing the needed infrastructure. It could be anything from really investing a lot of the money in the building and keeping the filters basically in operation as they are, or it could be actually just keeping the building sort of and letting it die, and then in 15 or 20 years doing a big upgrade. Okay. But by doing it as like a life cycle cost, it'll sort of give us the best value way to approach it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. Could I have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Ayes have it. Chairman Rainey has arrived. I'd like to add her to the roll.
Thanks, Tom. Want to continue?
Sure. And just so you're aware, we skipped item A3.5. So we are now at item A3.7. Which is a one-year renewal agreement with Harris Computer Systems for North Star Utility Billing Software. This is in the amount of $41,289.90, and this is for action.
Move approval.
Second.
All right. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, well, we'll go back to 3.5.
Your meeting, Chairman Rainey.
All right. So, did we do the, okay. So we want to, A34. So nobody spoke on these, any of these? So this is Goodwill, 3.9. A13 and A34. Okay, all right. All right, so A35, who's next?
I'm next.
You're next.
Yes.
Makes
Contract with Structures Construction LLC for construction services for the Howard Street Theater. Staff is recommending the City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract to provide construction services for the Howard Street Theater with Structures Construction LLC in the amount of $1,385,469. Funding for this project will be provided from the Capital Improvement Program Howard Ridge TIF funds. Which was from the fiscal year 2018 budget allocation of $1,756,058. The Howard Ridge TIF will issue debt and will pay the debt service costs for the architectural and construction costs for this project. This is for action.
Okay. Are you moving approval? Yeah.
Move approval.
All right, second. I'd like to request that Laura Biggs come and make a quick presentation on this. We did get a request from a member of the public to oppose this or hold it or something. I wasn't quite clear on what was being asked. the request went to Alderman Suffredin, and I'd like you to just address it.
Certainly. So the Howard Street Theater project is a project that we are doing in response to an ordinance that was done with a lease agreement with Theo Ubique, theater company from the city of Chicago. It's actually, we've been working on it for approximately a year and 3 months since we first passed the ordinance, and we've taken it through the design. We did the design documents with an architect, Carol Ross Barney, who has been working with us and the theater company in order to produce the design documents. And then we did discover, as we were going through our due diligence just prior to going out for bid for this construction project, that there were some issues with asbestos abatement. And so we separated that out as a separate contract, which we brought a couple meetings ago for approval with the City Council to approve the asbestos abatement. There are some concerns expressed by the public that there may have been some issues with the bids not being entirely clear, but I have reviewed the bids. A couple other staff members have reviewed the bids. There's no exceptions requested by any of the contractors. We received 9 bids. There was about a 30-35% spread in the cost of the bids, which is actually not all that large for receiving so many bids. And the lowest bid came within was approximately the same as the architect's estimate.
If we end up with a change order, is there anything, does the theater company chip in at all, or is this all on the city of Evanston?
There is still money left in the project budget as outlined in the theater lease agreement, and up to the theater lease agreement, then they're jointly covered by how the money has been put in by the city, and there's some money that's been put in by the theater group. Over the lease agreement, then the default is to go back to the theater group to pay the extra cost.
Okay. And how much else, we did like the asbestos abatement. How much other money have we thrown in that's not included in this bid?
We did have architectural services that were approximately $157,000, which there's still some money left in the contract to provide construction services.
Okay. Got it. All right. Thanks.
The theater company is paying for all theater type stuff. I mean, the things that, the way it was explained to us during the process is if you were to take the building and tip it upside down, everything that fell onto the floor is the theater company. All the tables and all the lighting and all that kind of thing. In other words, all the, all the personal property, all of that kind of thing that makes it a theater, that makes it not our building, is the theater company. It's a couple of $100,000 they're going to be committing.
The cost estimate of those items was not quite the same, but is very similar to what the theater is putting into the project. So the city is rehabbing the building, which is a city building, and the theater company is providing the build-out for the theater, and it's all considered jointly sort of as one project budget till it's complete.
Alderman Fleming.
Yes, Laura, can you kind of elaborate on their compliance with MWEBE? I know that, well, one, in the project they're doing at Dempster Beach, have they complied with that, and have they used our local employment project? This is the same company, right, who's doing Dempster Street Beach House, or Church Street Beach House, or?
It is, and I actually don't have that information off the top of my head, but I can get that for you.
They're at 28% on this project.
On this project, they propose to comply with the MWEBE. They actually, on the bid document, when you fill out the LEP form for compliance with the local employment program, they checked a box saying that they were not currently with their plan meeting the local employment program requirement, but that they would work with the city to meet that. And if you reviewed all of the bids that we received, of the 9 bids, seven of the contractors checked that box.
Okay, well, I would like to know if you can find out if they are complying with that on the current project, because I'm thinking back to the company that we have over at Gibbs, and I think that they're also somewhere else that has been an issue. And so when we have companies that we're giving repeat business to, I think that, they should have to comply with all of our programs. And I would be concerned if they haven't done that on one, that they're definitely doing it on the next one. I see they're at 26% here. And if I understand correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's something that they start working on right around now, correct?
They do. So once the project, there's two things, the Minority Women Evanston Business Goal, and they should have already been pulling their subs together for that and working out their subcontracts. And then there's a local employment program. And so once the contract receives approval, really within a couple of days, we connect them with Sharon Johnson, and she starts working with them to make sure that they have every intent, and then the project manager and Sharon and the company, it's something that's regularly discussed at each of the project meetings as we move through the contract.
Okay. And then can you just kind of help me also understand these alternatives? So there were these bid documents and alternatives 1, 2, and 3, and it says that they had put in a base bid, for whatever this amount is. So with these alternatives, are those just something we were asking for in case we decided to do them? Are they doing these alternatives?
So when you seek a bid, you get an architect's or engineer's estimate, but a little bit you're rolling the dice because you just don't know what the market is going to come up with. And in this case, I think we actually did get pretty reasonable bid prices, so I'm not concerned about that. But sometimes we are genuinely surprised by how favorable our bid prices are. And these were items that could have been nice to have, improve the quality of the project, but they aren't necessary. And so, for example, if we look at alternative 3, there's a very tiny parking area just off the alley, space for 2 or 3 parking spots. And because of the state that it was currently in and because of the construction, it's sort of been cut and patched and cut and patched. It still functions perfectly well. It's safe. It's not very appealing. Alternative 3 would be that we could mill and resurface it and provide a nice finished surface for the 3 cars that are going to park there. But it isn't necessary. And given that we're sort of right at the engineer's estimate, we really don't want to, we want to save any leftover money in case there is a change order and to furnish out the theater.
Okay, thank you. So I guess I'm concerned about this company in particular because we've had so many change orders from the current project that they're on. And I understand some of that was they knocked down the wall and found something, but I don't want to get in that same situation again. And then I would like, I guess, more reassurance on their compliance with LEP and the minority business and local business component.
Absolutely, and I can get that information to you before City Council meeting. The issue with Dempster Street Beach House was, that's actually a much older building than this building, and it's more complicated. It's been added on to a number of times, and it takes pretty hard use. So that, unfortunately, the change orders that we've had there have been a series of unknown conditions that are identified as we did the work. So one example was we had in our bid a certain amount of brick that needed to be replaced. It's 100 years old. We assumed that some of the bricks would be cracked, but before you pressure wash it and look, the cracks fill in with dirt and things. And so we pressure washed it and we looked after the contractor was on board because that was part of their contract, and it turned out there were just a lot more bricks cracked than we would have expected that needed to be replaced. And I think pretty much all the change orders were like that. They were things as we opened up walls on a building that's been rehabbed multiple times and added onto, we just kept finding sort of one thing after another. Structures was actually pretty responsive to trying to work with the change orders, and the pricing that they provided was reasonable. I was surprised that with all of the miscellaneous things where we then had to stop, pause, come up with a solution, that it was really only a 45-day extension. So they really did more or less stay on top of it as it went. They were pretty reasonable to work with. There's no guarantees on any project we do that there's not going to be change orders. That's why they're called unforeseen conditions. But this really is a little bit of a different project because it is a gut rehab. So we pretty much counted on removing everything inside the building and then building from scratch. So could happen, but it's not necessarily a given. It really isn't related to structures specifically.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right. All right, hearing none. All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
No.
All right, so it's a tie. We're going to send it to the council. Next is 3.8, contract with ADS Environmental Services for 2018 sewer flow monitoring. This is in the amount of $38,000. Funding from the project is from the sewer fund. I move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Wait, I'm sorry, I do have a question. I'm sorry, I didn't get to it.
What?
Down on page 135, it says, if the rainfall is not sufficient to produce adequate water flow, et cetera, there'll be a change order. Do we have an idea of what that change order will cost us? I understand this can't really happen unless we have rain, but I also don't want to pay too much if there's no rain.
Good evening, Dave Stoneback, Public Works Agency Director. I don't have that specific information at this time. Again, we would extend it by 1 month period, and then if we had a rain within that first 30 days, we would remove them. So if it's a very dry drought season, we could go up to 2 to 3 months before we would probably run out of funding and then have to stop.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Can we vote on this now? All those in favor of recommending to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Alderman Simmons, Fleming.
This is, I move, 5-year contract with Great Lakes Recycling, doing business as Simple Recycling for the collection of soft recyclables. Staff recommend council authorize city manager to execute a 5-year contract for residential soft recycling services with Great Lakes Recycling, doing business as Simple Recycling. The service will not require any city funding. The company will furnish all containers and vehicles needed for curbside pickup. This is for action.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have speakers for this. Alderman Fleming, you want to let people speak
Yep,
first, or
that's
do you
great.
want to speak?
No, they can.
All right. We have Joan Farrell, who would like to speak on this matter.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me. I'm Joan Farrell. I'm Vice President and General Counsel for Goodwill Industries. And I want to thank you for giving me 3 to 4 minutes just to talk on this subject before you have the opportunity to vote on whether or not to approve the 5-year contract. Just wanted to tell you about how crucial the donation stream and the recycling stream is to our Goodwill store here in Evanston. You know, we chose to locate our store here in order to have a really positive community impact and because of the donations stream. We are, the donations that we are collecting in our store and donation centers is the same recyclables that Simple Recycling is looking to pick up curbside. Even though we have the same interest in the recyclables, there's a big difference between Goodwill and Simple Recycling. We're a nonprofit who considers the recyclables donations, and we turn those donations right back into the community of Evanston. The way that we do that is by taking in the donations. We have donation attendants who sort through them very carefully and respectfully, price them for a second life, and that second life is to sell them on our sales floor. The revenue that's generated from the sales in the Evanston store goes to supporting our mission of helping people in the community who are disabled and disadvantaged get training, get work, and supportive services to help them find and keep jobs. We were founded 100 years ago on this recycling principle. I like to say that Goodwill was green before it was even cool to be green, and we believe in that hand up, not a hand out philosophy. So that's the social enterprise, and that's the way that our stores work. We restock the inventory in our Evanston store only with donations that come into the Evanston store, and we change that inventory every 3 weeks. So when you think about the size of that store, that inventory changes every 3 weeks. That's why the donations, the recyclables that come in from the Evanston residents and the surrounding communities are so crucial to our social enterprise. We can't keep going without a solid donation stream. And again, that's why we chose to come in and try and be a really solid community asset for the city of Evanston. With the revenue that we've been able to generate off of the donations that have come in through the Evanston store, we've been able to do some pretty amazing things. We invested $1.5 million to build that donation center and that store so that it's covered, it's clean, it's safe, it's convenient. Donations that come in are kept dry and almost immediately put inside, not left outside, curbside, or in the parking lot. Even though we're a nonprofit, we pay property taxes. So in 2017, we paid $61,000 in real estate taxes. We paid sales tax of $171,000. And we helped to drive customers and retail commerce to that shopping center that we're in. We can't do that without a solid donation stream. We estimate that each store, the Evanston store included, will recycle about 500,000 pounds. Anything that isn't sold on the showrooms or on the sales floor, it doesn't get moved around to a different community. It gets sold on the secondary markets where Goodwill receives a couple of pennies on the pound, and it's kept out of landfills and reused and repurposed by recyclers on the secondary market. We've been able to employ 45 people at the store. 17 of them are residents of Evanston. We have got about 7 high school students from Evanston. We have had a couple of students from Northwestern. The students really like our flexible schedules, they tell us. And we've had 3 employees who have come to us from other nonprofit charities, Shore Services, Have Dreams. These are organizations that help individuals with disabilities acclimate to the community and develop work skills. So we've been able to employ those individuals and in one case even train them and get them the skills necessary to go out and get a competitive job. We're a competitive employer as well out in the community. We've paid over $6,500 to some local nonprofit charities that we partner with here in the area. Orchard Village, Douglas Center, St. Nicholas Church of Evanston. And when we came here, we said we wanted to be a true community partner and a community asset for the city. And in the year and a half, a little over a year that we've been here, we hope that you have found us to be so. We've been here whenever we've been called upon by the mayor to attend the job fair in April of this year. We were at the Evanston Recycling event this year where I'm told by our store manager and our assistant store manager who's here tonight that we filled up a whole truck. We didn't turn anything down. We work with area employment specialists who assist individuals, again, with barriers to employment to help them find jobs. And we host field trips to schools and other centers that want to come in and see our recycling operations. So, again, thank you for letting me tell you a little bit about what we do over at the store. We've enjoyed being a part of the Evanston community. We hope you consider Goodwill as a community asset. We look forward to being here for another long period of time to come, and that you understand how crucial it is to maintain a solid donation stream in the area. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes. Alderman Suffolk.
Sure. So are you asking us to vote no?
Yes, I'm asking. Goodwill is respectfully asking you to vote no so that we can maintain that strong.
Okay, do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. I want to have some impact statements if anybody wants.
I just wonder, would this be a helpful, I mean, let's say we do a closet cleaning and we've got stuff that's like usable and wearable and nice, and we bring that to Goodwill, but we also have stuff that just isn't.
Yeah, like the missing sock or the stained T-shirt.
Right.
We take it all.
No, I know you take it all, but I mean,
yeah.
how much does it cost you to spin that out? Or are you saying that's part of your mission is you're employing people to look through everything?
Right. We sell about 65 to 70% of everything that comes in. So some of it doesn't make it to the sales floor, but that's where it gets sold on the secondary market. So we do pay people, we employ people at competitive wages to sort through the good, the bad, price it, develop work skills.
So, I mean, is your concern, though, that you're going to lose the, like, resellable nice stuff to this? Or do you think that, people, I mean, like, I think what we would do is still donate the nice stuff, and then we feel bad about getting rid of this stuff.
Yeah.
We'd put in this bag and have somebody pick it up from our house. I mean, if that's how people utilize this service, does that eat into your ability to do what you want to do? Or
Yeah, it does, because it starts with Evanston, and then it's Skokie, and then it's every place else that we have a store. And so it does really threaten our supply chain, if you want to call it that, our donation stream. And, we have been in this business for so long, and we take the recyclables and even the stuff that you're talking about, the stained rip things, we see such value in them because of what we can do with the revenue to support the mission, that it really, and I don't know if the residents would feel the same way, but it really pains us to see donations sitting in bags curbside, getting wet and getting full of snow and being, not taken care of. We've seen that with the donation bins that have become popular in some areas. Some cities have chosen to not allow those anymore because of various issues with, people dumping stuff that's not supposed to be there, overflow and things like that. It's ironic because when we come into a municipality like Evanston, the biggest concern they have is how messy is this going to be and how much stuff is going to pile up at your donation center. And we spend a lot of money with people and cameras and lighting and hours to make sure that it is clean and that there isn't refuse blowing here and there. Now, I'm not saying, I don't know Simple Recycle's operations. I don't mean to disparage them at all, but to answer your question, that's how important all of these recyclables are in the communities. That's how we look at them at Goodwill.
But you don't contemplate any scenario where you would pick them up from people. People have to drop them off.
Right, we can't afford to pick it up. It is not a sustainable model for us to go around in vehicles and pick them up. We have found that the way to maximize the value of those recyclables, keep them out of landfills, and monetize that income stream, again, for the good of the community, is to build the nice centers that are convenient for people to drive in and drop them off.
Got it.
Alderman Fleming?
Yeah, so I had a couple questions. Thank you for that presentation. I share those concerns not only for Goodwill, but also for places like ESCA, which is our clothing closet for our district youth. I know there's a clothing closet run by a church in my ward. So I know even for myself, if it had the convenience of dropping it in front of my house, I'd probably do that versus driving 2 blocks to Goodwill. So, but I have a question. Do we have either staff here or someone from Simple Recycling? Okay, can I ask you a question, please? Can you come up? Is that okay? Thank you. So my question is essentially, because I looked on your website, do all of your products, I'm assuming, go to the second market that she was referring to?
Sure. Thank you, Alderman. My name is, for the record, Paul Gardner. I'm the Director of Regional Municipal Partnerships for Waste Zero. I'm from the Twin Cities, and Waste Zero is the contractor for marketing the program in Illinois, Minnesota, and several other states. So in terms of the destination of the material, it's very similar to a nonprofit entity. Half the material stays in North America. Obviously, the highest and best use of this material, which is our priority from a sustainability standpoint, is a domestic thrift store. So in this case, domestic thrift stores in the Chicagoland area, for-profit entities, would be getting that higher level material. And then material that's worn and torn would go into things like insulation and industrial wipers. And that's what often happens with scraps from charities also. But that stays in North America. There are willing buyers for the material overseas. We're not interested in putting everything in a shipping container and not sorting it and sending it somewhere and hope for the best. We're very interested in working with brokers who have willing buyers for that material. We actually, this is a for-profit entity. The contract would actually pay the city a penny a pound. So our model is actually sustainable from an economic point of view. If we were asking you to pay us, then you would be right to suspect that maybe something is happening to that material that shouldn't. But for example, coats from Eastern Europe will go to Eastern Europe. That's an example. So there are very sophisticated markets. Simple Recycling is a spin-off from another thrift store chain in the Cleveland and Detroit areas that has been in business since 1959. So they've had very long-standing relationships with brokers that handle material both in the U.S., elsewhere in the North American market for the worn and torn material, and overseas markets. There are some vendors out there who do put everything in a shipping container and just let people in developing countries deal with it, which is not an ethical thing to do. That is not what we do. I also want to mention that Waste Zero provides the supplies for the curbside program, including this drawstring plastic bag that would go out in a mailing. This is one that's used in Minnesota, and we've done it in Skokie and Elgin and Mount Prospect now. It has a drawstring, so that keeps the elements out. It's in a very bright, visible bag, and if it's not picked up by the end of the day, if there's a missed pickup, there's an 800 number on the bag, and we pick it up right away. So in terms of the having drop-off bins is something that we're not crazy about for the reasons that Ms. Farrell from Goodwill mentioned. But the thing is, 85% of clothing that we don't need anymore in the United States goes in the garbage. Our view is that a rising tide floats all boats. Once people find out that they can get rid of used clothing, some people will say, this is convenient, I don't want to leave my house, I'm going to put it at the curb on recycling day. Other people will say, I don't know who Simple Recycling is, but I know Goodwill, and we would be more than happy if they would not throw it away and take it to any charity of their choice. They will get the tax deduction by taking to a charity. They will not get a tax deduction for us. And your education materials can certainly be very clear about that so that people have a choice, and Skokie has done some good outreach on that for that program there. Sorry, that was a longer answer to the question.
So,
I have one more question.
okay, one more.
It didn't say, but do you all plan on hiring local folks for the pickups?
Thank you, Alderman, for the question. Yes, there are local drivers from a depot that's on the south side of the metro area. And so there are folks in Illinois who are picking up in Illinois, taking to an Illinois facility, and it's graded in Illinois. And then the highest and best use material for resale in thrift stores is actually sold in the Chicagoland area.
All right, thank you.
You say you're not-for-profit. So
No, we are for a for-profit entity.
Okay, for-profit. What's your annual, how can we look at your finances? You're doing this for free. You know, we pay our recycling company.
Correct. Well, unlike your curbside recyclables like cans, bottles, and paper, the value of used clothing tends to be a lot higher. So that is why we can pay you as opposed to the other way around. Simple Recycling is it's actually called Great Lakes Recycling. It's a private company, so I don't have the financials. I can certainly put you in touch with the right folks. Waste Zero is a private company also. We're a B corporation, which means that we're certified by the international body for providing some public benefit. Other examples include Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream and Patagonia and Burt's Bees. So we're interested in helping communities cut their waste in half. And Goodwill is actually one of our customers in other markets. So we're happy to help collect material anywhere anyone wants to get it.
So if we wanted to do some research and take a look at how well you're doing, what would be the first place we would look?
Well, if you're looking for financial information, I certainly can talk to the CEO at Simple Recycling and have someone get in touch with you. But in terms of the results, we can, all of the information about
Because
the
you've mentioned
tonnages
so many
is
different
public.
names. I'm
Yeah,
not
I know
sure
it's
how
a
to
little
zero in on
odd. So Simple Recycling would be actually executing the program.
All right.
We just market the program in the area. But the tonnage information about what's been collected in Illinois is public, and I can certainly share that with you. And I have some of that now if you're interested.
And where's your headquarter office? Delaware?
For no, Simple
Bahamas?
Recycling is actually located in Solon, Ohio, just outside Cleveland.
Simple Recycling, but
That's correct.
where's your oversight office? I mean, you're the PR people, right? You're the marketing firm?
We're actually we help set up pay-as-you-throw programs around the country for cities that want to recycle more.
Okay,
We just happen to make the bags and the mailers and
Right,
do the
but
marketing.
who are the people who oversee the distribution of the product?
So it depends on the market. So in the Cleveland, Detroit, and Minneapolis areas where I live, it goes to another entity in Detroit which is a buyer and seller of used textiles that's been around for many decades, the name of which escapes me, but those have been in existence for a long time. In the Chicago market, there is a private thrift store chain that has its own grading facility on the south side of town.
This is all over my head. Okay, thank you. Alderman Simmons.
I just wanted to vote.
Okay. All right, so we're finished now. I'm finished, and so I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
Let me see hands. All those in favor of recommending this to the council, raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. That this does not go to the council for a recommendation. Next item is 5-year, we just did that one. Next item is 310. Who's next? Who's next?
I'll go. Staff recommends City Council approval of the estimated annual user charge for 2018 with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago for disposal of sludge generated as part of the water treatment process in the amount of $180,086.68. 4 payments of $45,021.67 will be made beginning in February 2018 and ending November 2018. Funding for this work will be from the Water Fund. This account has a budget of $300,000 allocated for MWRD-GC sludge disposal fees. Year to date, the balance equals $300,000. This is for action.
Second. Any discussion on this one? All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next item is A311, contract with Oxcart Permit System, LLC, for online application and processing of oversized and overweight truck permits. This has to do with oversized vehicles, and it has to do also with an ordinance that we have not yet come to. So all those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed? All right, A312?
Second. Okay.
Second, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, A312, Alderman Fleming?
This is Public Works Agency is recommending revising the street cleaning schedule in 2018 to eliminate the special cleaning zone 4 and changing the days that streets in Zone 4 are clean to the 4th Tuesday and Wednesday of the month to reduce the number of residential streets that are cleaned overnight, which was 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. They also recommend revising the street cleaning schedule to a Tuesday-Wednesday schedule for Zone 3 in 2019, Zone 2 in 2020, and Zone 1 in 2021. The estimated cost is $3,000 to replace the stickers on existing signs. This is for action.
Second.
Alderman Suffredin, I'm
sure.
sorry, did I not call on you?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to ask a question of Director Stoneback, if you don't mind. We had discussed this. Could you just tell me how we roll out the notification on this, since residents get very habitual in their street cleaning parking habits?
Thank you for the question. We would be putting it out on the city's website, making the information available to all the aldermen so that they can pass the word along at their ward meetings. And if council directed, we could put out a mailing to these areas, but then that would increase the cost of making the switch.
Okay. Is there any sort of grace period on violations in the past? Have we done that, or?
I don't believe that we have done that in the past. It was 2 years ago when we switched all the signage around. It used to be that you couldn't park for the whole day. Now it's only for a 4-hour window through that time. To my knowledge, we didn't have a lot of complaints with that switch. Again, it was just put out that we are making this switch. It used to be every third day or every third week, and that would change frequently. So now it's once a month, and when we made those changes and the changes of time, we just advertised it through our regular city council notices and at ward meetings.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, sir.
Can we also put it in the water bill?
We could definitely put it in the water bill,
That's
yes.
not going to cost us anything
No, that wouldn't
extra.
cost us.
Not everybody gets a water bill, I realize that, but it would be helpful.
Okay, thank you for the suggestion.
All right, good question. All those in favor of recommending 312 to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Alderman Suffredin?
Sure.
313.
This is a change order number 3 to the contract with Dynaman Construction, Inc. for the water treatment plant reliability improvements construction. Staff recommends that City Council authorize the city manager to execute change order number 3 for the water treatment plant reliability improvements project for a deduction of $4,531.44 to the current contract amount to account for various minor changes to the work throughout the construction. This change order will decrease the total contract amount from the current contract price of $1,289,721 to $1,285,189.56. And extends the date for completion from October 29th to November 17th, 2017. Which I'm guessing is wrong. So let's call it 2018. Or is this done?
It extends the date to 2017. The work is all completed at this point in time.
Okay.
We were one of the final change order amounts. There was a person left the company, and we had to get the change order credit from an electrician, and that just took a very long time. And that's why we couldn't bring the final contract amount to until now, because we just got that all worked out with the contractor. But the project was completed as of November 2017, and it's critical that we have this in the change order because this is funded from the IEPA, and they want to know the specific contract completion date and things like that. So it's important to get the right dates into the change order.
So this is going to cost less, and it's already done. This is a good change order. All right. Excellent.
I second.
I think we should have somebody oppose this. All right. All those in favor, no, nobody wants to come. All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. All right. Alderman Simmons, A314.
Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute change order 5 to the Dempster Beach office renovation contract with Structures Construction, LLC, in the amount of $4,830. This will increase the overall contract amount from $276,319 to $281,149. There is no time extension associated with this change order. Funding will be provided from the Capital Improvement Program 2017 General Obligations Bond, which has a budget of $300,000 for this project. This is for action.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Alderman Suffredin?
I just have a question for staff, and I appreciate the nature of these change orders and how it's kind of like we just sort of discovered. But at this point, how much would it have cost to just build an entirely new Dempster Street Beach office if we would have started that process?
That would have been expensive. It would have. We built a similar building at Clark Street, and that was a little over $1 million several years ago. So it would probably be closer to $1.5 million for us to have built that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, Laura.
Did you explain what this was when they opened the roof? They found that
Yes.
things were missing.
Yeah, so I did, when we brought the last change order, I explained that there's a roof, and then there's a ceiling on the first floor, and then there's an attic space, which you're supposed to be able to walk on. And when they were in the attic space making some modifications to roof penetrations for HVAC work, down below, they could see that the ceiling was actually bowing as people walked on it, on the joists. And so we called in a structural engineer to look at it, and the joists were dramatically undersized, just not appropriate. So then the structural engineer gave us a quick design, which Structures quoted for change order number 4. They went to install the support beam, and it's a brick building, and they had to open up the drywall to support the beam on the inner structural brick. There's an outer brick, and then there's a second course of structural brick, and in that one location, that brick was missing. So then they had to remove the wall in that location and install that layer of brick. And we actually did open up the walls in a couple of locations to check the brick was, because it's necessary for structural integrity, to make sure the brick was only missing in the one location. It appears that it was just that one location. Somebody had removed it during one of the many renovations decades ago.
But we did have drawings, existing condition drawings,
Did.
that showed it was there.
Yes, the as-built drawings had shown it to be in place. We did not have a reason to doubt that at the time.
Awesome. I appreciate the difficulty in doing these projects.
And I am, in answer to Alderman Fleming's question, previously structures, the original contract award for this project was under $250,000, so they were not required to comply with the local employment program at the time of the award, although I do think they have some Evanston employment on their contract. It's just at their discretion. And we're looking at how much they have spent on the MWEBE. We usually tie that out after the final payment because subs get paid sort of in arrears to when we pay, then the contractor pays the sub, so it's not always very accurate when we get back that the sub was paid. But we are trying to find out where we are to date on the sub payment. We should have that for you shortly.
Thank you.
Okay. So on the A314, the beach office renovations, change order number 5. Any more questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of recommending change order 5 in the amount of $4,830 to the council, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move right on. A315,
I think it's me.
is that you?
I
Did you
did
just do that?
last,
All
so-
right, I'll do this one.
Yeah.
I'll do this one. Change order number 2 to the contract with Smith Group, JJR, for the Church Street South Pier reconstruction. We're asking the city manager to execute a change order number 2 with Smith Group for engineering services for the Church Street South Pier reconstruction project in the amount of $8,000. The change order increases the contract amount from $90,500 to $98,500 and extends the contract deadline by 455 days from December 31, 2017 to March 31, 2019. Funding is from Capital Improvement Program 2018, general obligation bonds, and the project was budgeted at $625,000 FY 2018. This is for action. Can I have a
Second.
second? Second?
Second.
Okay. Alderman Fleming.
All right, I have a quick question. So on page 215, it says that this is due to the IEPA placing limitations about how you dispose of material. So my question was, is this a new limitation in which, so when they put their bid in, they didn't bid for this? I'm just trying to figure out why they're just learning about this.
This project has been under design for a couple of years now, and it's a very similar design to what has been installed sort of up and down the shores of Lake Michigan for beach walls and harbor protection. And just in recent times, in the last couple of years, when they were doing a project at another location, there was found to be some sediment contamination that was more extensive than what was expected. And it had nothing to do with the city of Evanston, but the EPA changed its requirements for how much sediment can be disturbed, and that limits the type of construction that can be done. So that will unfortunately increase our construction cost as well, most likely.
All right, thank you.
All right. No other questions, right? All those in favor of recommending this change order to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right. Alderman Suffredin, A4.
Resolution 9R18, authorizing the execution of and approval of a memorandum of understanding between the city and the Morton Grove Niles Water Commission. Staff recommends council adoption of Resolution 9R18, authorizing the approval and execution of the attached memorandum of understanding between the city of Evanston and the Morton Grove Niles Water Commission for the construction and operation of an intermediate booster pump station located at 2525 Church Street. For action.
Second.
All right, we have Janad Riski, who would like to speak to this matter.
I feel there's some substandard work, unfortunately, with this proposal, very incomplete. And the reason I say that is I really like the idea that we might look at this as a park. I think it's a good use of tax dollars to build a park, of course, better than some of the things we use for tax dollars here. Unfortunately, I don't feel this has been thought out carefully. Some of these things seem to be erroneous, like $12,000 to take down the building and the parking lot. That seems to be a low number here. I haven't seen any drawing, but I really think the spaces may be undersized for the mechanical and electrical. And actually, this was another project. We got a change order at the water plant because they undersized a room there. So I'm not convinced that's a good idea. I mean, they haven't done their homework. And then it's very misleading about the bathroom fixtures and what's going on here. And with that, it says Morton Grove is going to take care of the plumbing, or maybe not. It's not clear about that. But the city's going to pay for the bathroom fixtures. But there's a lot more to a bathroom than just the fixtures. So the city's going to have to build out the bathroom. So that's a real cost. The other thing about this that bothers me is the council isn't really presented with a cost because nobody seems to know on staff what this might cost. I mean, I think a safe estimate would be several $1 million of taxpayer money to build a park there. But as I've thought about this tonight, I'm not even sure we should be trying to build into that building because it's really built for another function. It's a pumping station. It's expensive real estate to use the pumping station to put a bathroom over, unless there's truly room there, which there may or may not be. So this will probably end up screwed up with change orders or other problems. So I don't feel staff has done enough homework on this, and I'm not asking you to kill it, but again, I say wait till the future comes and wait to see the cost. The other thing that was interesting is they want to bring in their own utilities. The city's going to bring utilities to a site that already is going to have water and electric there. And I would suggest that instead of that, you should tap into what Morton Grove has there and meter it. And why would you bring in another water line and electrical line? That doesn't make any sense. It's wasting money. And, you know, there was an interesting comment made that nobody would oppose a change order that gives you money back. Well, in the real world, when contractors give you money back, they never give you the full amount back. You've paid a lot more. So that's reality. I don't think, and anybody who thinks that's, we got a good deal on that $4,000, it could have been $20,000 you actually paid and sitting in the contract. So, and, I think there's a lot here that I think council needs to understand and how things are done. Staff isn't doing the job with a lot of this stuff, and it's really very bad because the work is so incomplete. It comes here and then it's quickly passed through, and that's not really good. It needs to be either put on hold, like some of us are asking, to discuss it more so we can bring up points that are important, because ultimately the taxpayers pay for all of this, and it costs a lot of money, and we're running out of money. And frankly, there's a lot I could talk about, but I will end with that for now. I'll have more counsel.
Alderman Simmons?
Yes, and maybe.
Go
Alderman
ahead. Simmons. Go ahead.
No.
We are spending, we have $1 million allocated. Can you hear you? Oh, I'm sorry, I'll go back to the phone. I'm sorry, I have one other point I should have made. We have $1 million allocated for Smiley Brothers at the recycling center. That project appears to be dead. We need to take that $1 million, it's about $900,000. We need to put it into this park. That money should not be, a parking lot should not be built there, especially when that whole contract appears to be falling through. It needs to be stopped immediately. You need to take that money and stop it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. And Director Stoneback, if you could come and give us more details on this, that the expense of the pumping station is with the Water Commission and that the rough plumbing build out would be their expense, and because of our aesthetic preferences, we will reimburse for the fixtures. But if you could speak more to that, appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, the agreement that's been entered or discussed with the Morton Grove Niles Water Commission is that they were going to build the building, and they would have built the walls and the brick and the roof and provide a pipe coming into the bathrooms that we're proposing and the sewage drainage pipes. But they weren't going to install the toilets or the sink or the light switches or even the lock on the doors. So we would like to have functioning washrooms at that facility when they're done with their building, and then that is why the city is indicating that we would reimburse them for the cost for installing all that. The $12,000 that Mr. Ruski indicated in here is the current cost, and that's only an initial cost to come in and do the preliminary engineering on the site to determine what will be involved with the demolition. So similar to the Howard Street Theater, we hired a consultant first to look at the asbestos, and then we're going to finish out the job. This is similar to here. So yes, the cost for the demolition is expected to be much greater than $12,000. That's just the preliminary study. That's the cost that's known at this time. The other costs can't be determined until that study's completed. We're estimating that could be in the neighborhood of $250,000 to $300,000. We have $400,000 in our current capital program for this site to demolish the building. Due to the fast tracking pace that Morton Grove Niles Water Commission is trying to get approval for this pumping station location so that they can get their funding from the IEPA to move forward with the whole project. We're proceeding without having the known cost. But they're proceeding at such a fast pace, they already have the $12,000 cost estimate for the engineering to have that initial evaluation completed, and that's the cost that was discussed in the MOU. As far as the sizing of the washrooms and the utility room, there was some preliminary investigation performed, again, by Morton Grove Niles, that if you have a splash park that can hold up to 80 people, they confirm what the washroom requirements are. You don't need to have a shower. You need to have the two facilities that we're getting. It's also, they've looked at the size of the utility room, knowing that it would be a splash park up to 80 people. They can estimate how much room is needed for the mechanical equipment for that size of a park, and our space is designed to be large enough for that. The sewer system, there's none readily available there, so the sewage that comes from the bathroom will be going into the Morton Grove Niles booster station, where they'll have a grinder pump, and they will be pumping that out to the sewer system. But as far as electricity and water goes, the water that goes through their pumping station will already be metered, and it will be owned by Morton Grove Niles. I guess they could sell it back to Evanston if we wanted to hook up to it, or we would do like we do with our other parks and provide a water service from the Evanston distribution system meter, but not actually send a bill out for the water, so we know the water usage. The electric service line will be again, a different type thing. They're running a much larger pumping station with, I'm assuming it will be more than 110 power that they're using, so we'll be bringing our own individual drop. And we will have to pay for that electricity because it depends on whether we make a profit or not from the splash park. If we don't, it would be part of our franchise agreement, and if we do charge a fee, then we would have to reimburse ComEd for it. But if there's no fee, it's on the franchise agreement, and we wouldn't pay for the electricity at all. So we have been looking at the various things as we move along on this. The staff sees that this is a good opportunity. We'll get the old building that's in an inadequate state, get that demolished. The parking lot that's to the northeast of that building now will be removed as well. It will just be rough graded. It won't be graded for a soccer pitch or anything like that, but it will improve the site as it currently exists, allowing Evanston then over time and as the CIP budget allows to develop the rest of the program that we're planning to do there. That program was already considered by City Council as the council adopted the the ordinance or the resolution, I'm sorry, with the MWRD to take over the lease of that property. So that was the first thing that actually started the ball rolling as far as developing this area and extending Beck Park, was the lease agreement with the MWRD for the actual property.
Sounds fabulous.
Yeah.
Alderman Simmons.
Can you speak to the potential or projected revenue in water sales, if we can move forward with this for the city of Evanston?
We estimate at this time that we would be getting about $500,000 a year I'm trying to think of the proper term, additional revenue on a reimbursement for the risk that we take providing water to Morton Grove Niles. The city would recover about $500,000 a year. That will increase as time goes on as well. So, but initially, the first year, we're looking at $500,000.
Congratulations. I mean, this is something that we've been working on for years and years, and finally is happening.
Yes.
I don't know how anybody can find fault with this. Just unbelievable. So, it's just marvelous. Thank you. And the splash park? Yes. I would kill to have a splash park in my ward. It's fabulous.
Really excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
May we come?
You are welcome. All are welcome.
That's great. All right. Anybody else have any questions? No. Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next. Who's next?
I think I'm next.
Go.
Resolution 2-R-18, approving release of certain closed session minutes. Staff recommends council approval of Resolution 2-R-18, releasing certain closed session minutes, meeting minutes, and finding that a need still exists for confidentiality as the remaining minutes. The staff is furthering its efforts to provide access to information and openness in government through the appropriate release of closed session minutes of the City Council. This is for action.
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Alderman Suffredin.
Sure. This is Resolution 6R18, authorizing the appointment of an interim chief financial officer and interim treasurer for the city of Evanston.
Can you do A7 too? Can we suspend the rules on this? How about suspending the rules on both?
Let's do it. That's fun. All right. So,
Or you don't have to do it on that one.
all right. Well, item A7 is Ordinance 19-018, updating authorized signatories and financial institutions for deposits, investments of city funds, and the staff recommends City Council adopt this ordinance, adding Ashley King, budget manager and interim financial officer treasurer, and Andrew Valaman, accounting manager, as a depository signature. Let's do it. We're suspending the rules for introduction and action.
Second.
All those in favor of A6 and A7, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations to all. Right. Alderman Simmons.
Staff recommends City Council adoption of Ordinance 20-018, amending City Code Section 1011-4 to establish one-way south traffic on Hurd Street between Isabella Street and Park Place, and one-way north traffic on Central Street Avenue between Park Place and Isabella Street adjacent to Willard Elementary during drop-off and pickup hours. Funding for signage will be through the General Fund Traffic Control Supplies, with a 2018 budget of $58,000. This is for introduction.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. This is A9, Ordinance 9018, amending City Code Section 10194. This is the ordinance that has to do with the earlier item having A311. This is amending the City Code Section 10194, permits for excessive weight and size. Staff recommends City Council adopt this ordinance, having to do with establishing permits and applicable fees for excessive vehicle weight and size in accordance with limitations set forth in the Illinois Vehicle Code. They're asking us to suspend the rules for introduction and action. I move approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Fleming, A10.
Ordinance 10-0-18, amending city code to include civil restitution. The city staff recommend council adoption of this ordinance to amend the city code subsection 1-4-1, general penalties to include civil restitution by order of the court. This ordinance shall add civil restitution to the penalties available for city code violations and allows a court to order restitution beyond the maximum fine amount. Civil restitution may only be ordered by a court after a finding of guilty or guilty plea by a defendant. This is for introduction.
Second.
Okay. Alex, this is something that the circuit court has to order, right? They add it on to their findings.
Yes, Alex Mackey, Assistant City Attorney.
In your microphone, please.
Alex Mackey, Assistant City Attorney. Yes, this would have to be ordered by a circuit court judge in Skokie.
Okay. All right. So the fine for drunk driving, let's say, is whatever it is, and then an additional civil penalty that would come to Evanston.
Yes, so it would only be for city ordinance violations. So we don't have an ordinance violation for drunk driving. That would be charged as criminal. But say if there was a charge for vandalism and there was property damage, the court could order civil restitution to for the defendant after pleading guilty or a finding of guilt to reimburse the homeowner for the cost of cleaning up that vandalism. So the person might be fined up to $750 under the Evanston City Code, but then the court may also order restitution for that person to pay for the cleaning up of the vandalism or any other property damage.
So a city code violation would be handled in Skokie?
Sometimes they are. If the person's arrested, it's sent to ordinance court in Skokie.
Really?
Yes. Huh. And a lot of times that happens if there's a subsequent charge.
Okay. I didn't know that. Alderman Fleming, thank you.
So I had a similar question because I thought that our C-tickets were handled here by administrative adjudication. So if we have a C-ticket that is handled here, could they also, I'm assuming they could not then assess a penalty for civil restitution here in administrative adjudication?
Correct. This ordinance only goes towards circuit court judges, not administrative adjudication.
Okay, and that penalty then is paid through the city or I guess through the court?
Yeah, the civil restitution would be
Okay.
handled through the court.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending introduction, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. A8. Alderman Suffenden, I think you're next.
A11.
Oh. A11, I'm sorry.
Sure. Item A11 is ordinance number 23018, amending the city code section 3-4-6D to decrease the number of Class D liquor licenses for Yahala Inn, and it'll decrease the number from 51 to 50. Introduction and action.
Second.
Good. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Alderman Simmons, A12.
Local Liquor Commissioner recommends City Council adoption of ordinance 24018, amending City Code subsection 346 to increase the number of Class D liquor licenses from 50 to 51 and permit issuance of a Class D license to Good to Go Jamaican Cuisine, doing business as Good to Go, located at 711 Howard Street. This is for introduction.
Second.
I'd like to speak to this. The Levys, who not only own 711 Howard Street, they're recent purchasers. They've moved from the Chicago side of Howard Street to the Evanston side and purchased 711 and have done the most magnificent renovation of this building and have just been to the Liquor Commission. I asked that this be for introduction and action, but we didn't get it on the agenda, so I'm asking that you all approve that, and so we can have it just for introduction and action tonight. So I would like to move that. Could I get a second?
Second.
Pardon me?
Yes,
You want to
never
speak
mind.
to that? Okay.
I want to go on record as getting early reservations to this restaurant. The build out is just extraordinary. You've done such an excellent job. I'm already a regular customer on the Chicago side, so I'll be a staple on the Evanston side. So thank you for continuing to invest in Evanston. So.
And I would like to say they were one of the first customers on the other morning when Cafe Coralie opened. It was a party. All right, so all those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is A13, ordinance 26018. Who's up on that?
That's you.
Me? Ordinance 26018, amending City Code 346F to increase Class F liquor licenses for the Target store located at 1616 Sherman Avenue. This is for introduction.
Second.
Okay, we have, let's see, Ms. Bowery, who would like to speak to this item.
Hi, my name's Christina Bowery. I'm the store team leader for the new downtown Evanston Target located at 1616 Sherman Avenue. Just wanted to take the time to introduce myself, and I'm here to answer any questions if you guys have any. And also I ask that you guys vote in favor. Thank you.
We figured you wanted us to vote. All right, so we have a motion to introduce and a second. Any discussion? I attended the Liquor Commission the other morning and heard the discussion, and it was pretty interesting. This is for the downtown one. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, any opposed? Okay, it's going to be introduced to the council. All right, Alderman Fleming.
Ordinance 28-0-18, amending City Code Section 10-11-1, reducing the speed limit on Ridge Avenue between Howard Street and Emerson Street from 30 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour. The staff is recommending the adoption of this ordinance to limit the speed from 30 to 25. They also recommend the City Council authorize the City Manager to direct the Evanston Police Department to provide targeted enforcement of traffic regulations within the Ridge corridor, also to implement split phasing of the traffic signals at Ridge and Lake intersection on a trial basis. Funding for that is estimated at $10,000, and that will come out of the account as listed that has a budget of $58,000. The staff recommends suspending the rules and for introduction and action tonight.
Second.
Discussion. No discussion? No discussion? Nobody? All right, all those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, items for discussion. Sidewalk service inquiries.
I can take that one.
We're going to have a,
Actually, Alderman Rainey, I spoke to the city manager already about this one, knowing it was going to be a long night and this is not time sensitive. I asked that it be held until the 12th of March.
you did,
I did.
okay, and he said, okay.
Yeah, we picked a night that was not a full agenda.
We really appreciate your making that call.
Oh, it's not time sensitive. So.
All right. Okay, so we're going to hold this, so if anybody's here for the sidewalk discussion, we're sorry, but it's not going to take place. All right, so move for adjournment? Okay, I'll move for adjournment.
Okay, second.
All right, planning and development will take place in about 10 minutes.